Hey there, Star Wars Legion folks. Welcome back to Dice Commando. We are trying the spoken word thing today here with my buddy Brentauntaun, and today we are talking Scout. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, Star Wars Legion folks. Welcome back to Dice Commando for a Lazy Legion Sunday. Today I'm joined by my gaming partner, Brentauntaun. How's it going, my man?
Good. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. So you will notice Brentauntaun, he's in the hangar, so we'll make sure to mute when the X-Wings and the Y-Wings are flying overhead.
That's right.
The Death Star just dropped in system, so we only have about 15 minutes with Brentauntaun before he's got to make a decision on what to do here. So, but no, in all seriousness, how's the Legion life been going? I know you're prepping for a tournament. Is it this weekend?
Good. We got a skirmish tournament next weekend.
Next weekend, okay.
And I need to probably do some more prep for that. I've been playing in the Invader League, kind of online league, these past couple weeks, which I've kind of been getting my butt kicked, but it's been good. Been learning a lot. I've been playing Rebels, a pretty Pierce heavy list, so like Han, Chewie, K2, Cassian, and some Shotgun Fleet Troopers and some Rebel Commandos. So I think it's like 9 of my 11 activations have Pierce, which is a lot of fun.
Is it similar to the list you demolished me with a couple times ago when I was like all of my clone troopers with heavy armor just went away?
Yep, it is. It is that same list. It's pretty good against red save units for sure.
Yeah, fair enough. So you mentioned the commandos, and that's what I wanted to talk about today is the scout keyword. So what I'm going to do just for the S's and giggles is we'll just bring up the rules while we talk about it. So we have scout, and then I went ahead and highlighted scouting party because that's relevant. So as it plays today, there have been a lot of changes over the last, quarter-ish or so. Mainly the bad guys all have Scout 3 now, right?
Right.
So those Scout moves, you've been playing with the Commandos, playing Scout there. I've been messing around with Scout a long time because I've been playing Rex with Galactic Republic.
Yeah, that's right.
So as you've been playing in this Invader League, what are you seeing? How is Scout being used primarily? What phases does it deploy in, and so on?
Yeah, I think we've definitely, and again, I only started playing about a year ago, but from what I've heard, there's definitely been a resurgence in the strike teams. I mean, first of all, for easy activations, but also, the low profile changes, but even the increase in scout, I think has made them a lot more viable. So, yeah, I mean, pretty much all the lists I've played against in the past month or two have had a strike team of some sort. Yeah, again, on Wednesday, I took my rebels up against Vader triple dewbacks, but he did have 2 strike commandos or scout trooper strike teams, and they can make things tricky, especially, I have Cassian and he likes to infiltrate. I think we're seeing some units like Iden is seeing a lot more play lately, and that Scout 3 can really shut off some areas of the map where you'd like to infiltrate. So, yeah, it's I think seeing a decent amount more play lately.
So is that typically where you're seeing it then? Are they deploying their snipers early?
It's something I'm trying to learn. It depends, I think, against the list that I'm playing against. I like to deploy snipers early, so I don't have to kind of put my focus pieces down. I want to see where he puts Vader in his dewbacks before I'm dropping Han or Cassian. But at the same time, the strike teams can be picked off relatively easily. I had a match, but I think it was 2 weeks ago against a Kraken and Maul and Cad Bane list, and I dropped my strike teams early. I deployed them sort of as my first activations, kind of knowing where he'd put his army, but he dropped Kraken in a place where he could see both of the models. He used orbital strike turn 1, which is infinite range, and basically immediately axed one of my activations in the first 5 minutes of the game. So I think it really depends on the deployment and the map, and the list you're playing against. But I have typically found myself deploying the strike teams early, using the scout both to shut off areas of the map where my opponent might have infiltrate, and also kind of get coverage with that range 5 shot to kind of shut down some of the lanes that I think my opponent might go down.
Mm-hmm. So I will say one of the things that I've struggled with Scout, because Rex has scouting party, right? So he can bring guys with him. So one of the cool moves you can do with him is you throw recon intel on there, and then you get some good mobility. Part of the problem though is you really have to manage your activations, and it becomes hard to manage your activations because those two units that he brings with him have to be down before he goes down, and then you have to make those moves at that point. And you're basically forecasting for at a minimum of 2 to 3 deployments. You're kind of forecasting what your plan is already. So I've been having a little bit of challenge with that. So with your commandos, how have you been, or what's your strategy? I get maybe to any level of success, I suppose. But what's your strategy been to try and avoid really that kind of forecasting?
Yeah, they don't have scouting party certainly, and Rex is kind of one of those centerpieces, so that I think makes things trickier. Also, the Gar lists tend to have less activations, so you might put 4 activations down first, but then like you said, you're going to have to place the guys that you want to bring with Rex before you bring Rex or put him down, and it's going to kind of signal some of your game plan. The strike teams are a little bit more flexible in that their purpose in most lists is just picking off a model every turn, throwing suppression, and again covering some of those lanes. So it hasn't been as much of an issue for me just using the strike teams, but I haven't played any Rex lists. I kind of started again after the Rex nerfs kind of got all hit, or the clone nerfs hit. And honestly, I was thinking, are there any other units that have scouting party, or is it just Rex?
I'm only aware of Rex with scouting party.
Yeah, I think that's the only one I know of too. So I haven't seen it, be as much of a problem. But it's an interesting question about the interaction of at what point in the deployment phase does that scout move happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the Imperial strike team, right? The scouts. They are. I mean, with the 3, I haven't played with the droid commandos. I don't have those models, but the scouts. I've got those shore snipers that I use, right?
Yeah.
The scout 3 on that is. I mean, that's a long move, right? A move 3 is pretty far in the deployment range, especially if you're playing the map that's the L. You can get some pretty good distance. Now you don't want to be in the middle of the map with your sniper. I get that, right? But the point is, it gives you a lot more flexibility to really get a lot better position. Because a move 1, right, like Scout 1, like Rex has, is not very far,
right?
But a Scout 3's a big deal, right?
It's pretty far. No, I mean you put that movement tool down, and it's a ways out there. The 2 interesting things I think there. One, I just learned this recently, is that your scout move ignores difficult terrain as well. So you don't have to reduce your maximum speed if you're going to hop over a barricade or go over difficult terrain, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that move 3 is getting you all of its distance. And like you said, yeah, the strike teams, they don't necessarily want to be closer to the deployment, but the interesting thing is, all of the scout units, or the rebel commandos, the X-droids, even the non-strike teams got that buff. So, I have seen people run full units of scouts. They're pretty costly, but if they can get in range 2, they can definitely throw some dice out, and it could be sort of an effective strategy to roll with full scouts and use that move 3 for particular objectives, whether it's breakthrough or recover or something like that. It could definitely be interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. They're a tough unit because they roll white dice in an army that largely rolls red dice, right? But I don't know if you're running up against a Pierce army. Maybe you don't care. So,
you're right.
Well, no, it's definitely still more saves, but. Either way. So yeah, with all of that said, I kind of wanted to, we can go ahead and get this away now because we're talking not the rules. So there's been a lot of changes happening and potentially could be more coming So the question I'm going to float to you is, with how Scout works, it has to be used on your deployment. What if in imaginary AMG land we were to change Scout so that Scout happened after the deployment phase itself, right? So there'd be like the deployment phase and then a scouting phase or whatever you want to call it. How do you
Yeah.
think that would change things? Is it a good idea, bad idea? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it would definitely make Scout more beneficial, and it would kind of be more thematic. You are scouting what the enemy army looks like and sort of infiltrating behind enemy lines. So there's definitely a little bit more thematic element to bring it after. And it could make turn zero more interesting or kind of more dynamic. There'd certainly be more choices. Um, but on the flip side, it probably would make turn zero take longer. And I don't know what I assume the mechanic would just be, blue player starts with any of their scout units and they scout, and then you alternate red and blue
Mm-hmm.
player. But there'd have to be some sort of mechanics there to figure out the sequencing of how players did that or where after the deployment phase that happened. Mechanically, I think it would make infiltrate stronger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you couldn't, if you're not getting those scout troopers in the middle of the map or cutting off corners of the map so that Iden and Inferno Squad can drop in your backline, um, it would definitely make the infiltrate keyword a little bit stronger. I think scout happened after the entire deployment phase if they're able to infiltrate before you're able to scout and cover some of that map.
Yeah,
Um,
fair point. Fair point.
maybe if there's a particular unit that they wanted to do that with, they could add the reinforcements tag to it. The reinforcements tag, I think, that is on the super tactical droid, but it's not really on a lot of other things. But it lets you hold your unit at the end of the deployment phase. So maybe there'd be some infiltrating scout units that had both scout and infiltrate. So it's still in the deployment phase, but it's effectively at the end of the deployment phase. That could be interesting.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's, we wanted to keep it short today, but, just wanted to talk about, a keyword that is a big deal that I think doesn't necessarily get as much, discussion as a lot of other things that we talk about. But, the big changes on the scout troopers has been, a big one, right? I mean, the droid
Yeah.
commandos always had the Scout 3 to my understanding, but the scout troopers did not. So,
Yeah, going from Scout 1 to Scout 3 is a pretty big buff, I would say.
no. So, all right. Well, thanks for the chat tonight. So, Brenton and I are going to be doing this from time to time, basically whenever we feel like it, popping in on Sundays and talking about some other topics. So, thank you for joining me, sir. Is there any shout outs or anything you wanted to get in before we get out of here?
Nope, go Commando.
Go Commando. Thank you.